Hi guys, so today I will be doing a non-spoiler review of The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. So this is the first installment of the Folk of the Air trilogy, which was released in 2018. I've heard many great things about this book. However, I foolishly read How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate first before this book, just because I was so excited to get into this world and the Holly Black craze. So because I read the Learn to Hate stories first before this one and I really like it, I had quite the expectation with this book. So without further ado, let's just get started. So the story mainly follows a mortal girl named Jude. She also has a twin sister named Taryn, who was taken to a fairy realm, which is Elfheim or Elfheim. I still have no idea how to pronounce it. That fairy happens to also kill her entire family except her twin sister and her half-sister, Vivian. And because Jude was an outsider in the fairy realm, she is desperate to fit in and she wants to earn her place there. She has an aspiration of becoming a knight. However, her foster father didn't think that she was worthy enough. Because of her stubborn nature, she catches the eye of one of the Elfheim prince. And so that they struck a deal, and that deal eventually changed her life. Now this book is written in the third point of view. I'm that type of reader that's just prefer the third point of view because it's just less biased. However, in this case, I really don't mind spending my time at Jude's head. I really think that she's really smart and she's also not overbearing, and I really think that my enjoyment of the first point of view relates to how Holly Black's writes her story. So I think the biggest positive point of this book is the writing style. The book, at least my edition, has a 370 page count, and there's quite a lot of things that happens, not just like action-packed, but also the scheming and political intrigue. Even with this page count, I really think that the author could write succinctly while simultaneously maintaining the heavy political intrigue element of the story. I think Holly Black is a really sharp writer. Her prose is intentionally made, and I think each word from her is deliberately chosen. So one thing about Holly Black's writing that I noticed is that I can't really skim read her books. I know that it's not always good to skim read, but sometimes when you don't really have that much time, you just have no choice but to skim read. But I think with her writing styles, it really is important for readers to read each word carefully, because I can't really see that each word is deliberately chosen. So I do think that the pacing of the story is also a positive point. So the beginning part of the story really feels quick. It even opens with a cold open, so it immediately places the reader into the tone and the context of the story. However, I do feel like the middle part of the story is just dragging a bit, especially when compared to the beginning portion and the ending portion of the story. The first and the last section really is action-packed, whereas the middle portion of the story has more of an contextualization and info dumping. One thing that I really noticed about the characters in the story is that, wow, for book one of a trilogy, there's so many characters. So there's like the sisters, and then the parents, and then there's the royals, and then like, okay, the royals is like, there's so many of them. There's the court, and there's even like the house people. I really don't want to say servant, because like I just knew from the start that there's going to be murder involving in the story. Because this is a spoiler-free review, I'm not gonna get into specific about who's gonna die, but I think it just makes sense because I don't think that the story is much more character-driven. It is much more plot-driven. I just knew that there's going to be a lot of deaths. So, I mean, the book itself at the back does written an assassin element on it, so yeah, but I'm just gonna leave it there. I would also say that Holly Black is really comfortable with writing morally gray characters. Yes, characters, plural. So for those of you who are like me, who's just kind of like tired and needs a bit of variety in terms of character morality, kind of like tired of the characters who's always righteous and knowing what to do, this book can definitely quench that thirst. I could even say that almost all the characters in this book are morally gray. So the characters can definitely misbehave. But what I really like about how Holly Black writes morally gray character is that she doesn't force us to sympathize with the morally gray characters. She knows that the reader has that capability to judge the character in their own way. So Holly Black explains why the characters do the things that they do. However, she did not judge nor justify their behavior. So I think I need to talk about the romance in this book. And I would say that if you read this book for the sake of the romance only, I would say that you will be disappointed, because the romance is just a teeny tiny part of this book. The romance in the story merely starts in the middle portion of the book, and then there's a lot of political intrigue, and then the romance will come out again at the very end of the book, and it's in a really small amount. So even though the back of the book has that romance element written, it's still really in a small quantity, and the romance is not even like blooming yet or anything. When there is a romance scene, that scene really carries. That scene is really great. The dialogue is really believable, and the banter between the characters are great. However, if that's the sole reason why you're reading this book, I think you're going to be a bit disappointed. But if you're planning to read this book and also continuing on The Wicked King, I think you'll be okay. Because I do read the second book, and wow, the romance there is really great. So if you do want to commit, you'll be fine. Another aspect that I would like to talk about is the world building, and I'm in love with the world building. It is so fleshed out, however, it has its subtle quality. So the world building is not shown in a manner that is too forceful or anything, but I could still imagine Elfheim, its geography, its politics, and little things like menstruation or period is also explained. So I'm actually obsessed with teeny tiny bits like that. It really makes Elfheim really believable. And there's also one term that they kind of used when someone is doing the devil's tango, like, hey, I'm not the first one who will green gown her. You will understand what it means. You will understand the context when you read the book, but I think like a small saying like that really makes a difference in the believability point of the story. So the story really kept me guessing. I must confess, your girl's been naughty the whole time, because I actually checked Jude's wiki while I was reading this book. However, I must say that even though I already checked her wiki, at the end of the book, I am still like so shocked. So I don't think that even though you know the framework of the story, you check TikTok or you check BookTube or you check Tumblr about the spoilers of this book, you wouldn't really get properly spoiled either, just because the story is really complex and intricate. There's always shocking moments that you will find out once you really read the book. So for this book, the execution is really the element that made all the difference. Possible cons that I could find in this book is that small and detailed logistics that aren't really explained. So there's one pivotal moment where a character visits Jude's house. And that character is really important. That visit is also really important to the story. However, Jude's father, adoptive father, as the man of the house, doesn't really know if that person came to his house. It's not even his house. It's literally his study. Because whether or not Jude's adoptive father knows that the character visit is really pivotal to the story, and that knowledge isn't really glossed over. The book doesn't really explain whether Jude's adoptive father knows that character's visit or not. I remember after I read this book, I cannot wait to get my hands on The Wicked King, which is the second installment of the trilogy. I really appreciate that Holly Black doesn't think that her readers can take a little bit of gore, blood, and she knows that the readers could judge for themselves of what the characters are doing. She doesn't need the information to be spoon-fed or anything. And all of the characters are really interesting. None of them has this dogmatic thinking. None of them are like truly good or truly bad. So the characters are not one-dimensional at all, so it's really interesting to read them as well. As for the recommendation, I would recommend this book to those of you who wants to read a fantasy with a heavy political intrigue and with just a teeny tiny bit of romance. As I've mentioned, the romance here is really small in amount, and also I think it's important to note that the romance here is not the cute and fluffy romance. It's a little bit, it might be, people might say that it's borderline problematic. So yeah, and for those of you who just likes a fairy tale kind of story, but not the Disney kind of fairy tale, but the Grimm's Brothers version kind of fairy tale that has a bit of gore, murder, and betrayal, will really like this book as well. Overall, I will give this book a 4.5 stars. I deducted 0.5 points just because the middle part is a little bit dragging for me, and there's still some important details that aren't explained in the book. But overall, I really enjoyed how Holly Black writes the story. I think the writing style is just chef kiss. It really evokes the tone of the overall narrative very well. The characters are really interesting, and the world building is just gorgeous. So that was today's review of The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I hope that this review will help you in determining whether this book is worth your time. Let me know in the comment section below whether you want to read this book, or if you have read this book, please share your thoughts. Before I end the video, I would like to thank everyone who made it to the end. Thank you guys so much for watching, and may your chi will always be warm for reading.